Well, my shelves are getting more and more empty. The printers are sitting idle at the moment. The workbench is, well, it may not look like it, but it's actually the neatest it's been in a long time. So hey R2. So that pretty much means only one thing. We're about ready to wrap this guy up. All that really remains is figuring out how to get this attached to that and get his eye lights and everything working, and then yeah, I think we're going to be about ready. So let's see if we can button up this build. So I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. I'm actually just going to be passing 24 volts straight up through. I have it branching off of the power umbilical that comes up from lower body. I branched off 2 of each conductor through this cable here, and that goes up to this pogo connector. So I've got 2 pins for positive and 2 for ground, and this just carries the 24 volts into the head. In the head, I am planning on having a really small 3 amp Pololu voltage regulator that'll drop the voltage down to 5. It'll power an Arduino Nano that has the sketch that runs the eye lights. So really this was pretty straightforward. I am using the same pogo connectors that I used previously for B. The ones that I found are a little bit different than some of the others. These actually have these 90-degree pins that are nice and long, so if you do decide to solder your wires on there, you've got a lot more surface area to work with. But in my case, I just crimped some female DuPont connectors on the ends of the wires, and it grips them really well. And then I did have to modify this piece a little bit just so that everything would sit totally flush. The bottom shape of this particular connector is a little bit different than I think what was called for in the bill of materials for this. But otherwise, this goes on pretty easily. Just make sure that you don't make this umbilical too long. At one point, I did have it a little bit long, and what happens is it will actually rub up against the inside of this wall as the whole head mechanism turns. So just be careful with the length, but that's the easy part. Let's take a look inside the head itself. All right, so here we have B's head. Now, a few days ago, I did post a short video of B kind of jamming out a little bit, and truth be told, the configuration in the head at that time was not this one. I will tell you why that installation failed and why I had to switch to that in a couple minutes, but let's go over the details here. And if you are wondering why I'm missing a magnet here, that comes back to when I started the Pro head mech. I didn't expect to have to reprint the upper body greebly, but I did, and that required 4 magnets. So even though I ordered some extras, I ended up still a magnet short. And of course that then begs the question, Jason, you idiot, why did you order an odd number of magnets, of spare magnets? And to that, I unfortunately have no reasonable answer, so we'll just press on from here. So at the heart of this, we've got the other side of the pogo connector. Like the other one, I'm using the same 90-degree pins. Positioning for this, obviously it needs to be able to float a little bit. This is magnetic, so it will seek out the other half. I did find that adding this wiring braid over top of this helped keep this in position from being tugged when I put the head on and take the head off. So it just adds a little bit of extra rigidity. From there, the connections goes into this little extension. This is really just so that I can remove all of this if need be. And then here is where I have my little secondary board. I had already printed the head, so I didn't want to actually make any modifications to it. So I've got these little brackets here that are simply hot glued into place, and then I can simply unscrew this, and then this plate is actually just kind of held in place there, so I can take all this out if I need to. I've got a voltage regulator here. This is from Pololu. It's about a 3 amp voltage regulator down to 5 volts. Powers the Arduino. The Arduino then connects to my little servo breakout board, and then that's where I have the two light assemblies. So in my initial implementation, this is kind of what I came up with. I did take a picture of it before I took everything apart. I really liked the way I was able to basically leverage this existing piece that is held in place right there. This actually is has some heat set inserts, and I simply made this plate that used 2 of the same inserts, and everything was great. The Arduino was right there. I had easy access to update that. Everything was centrally located. But what I discovered is there is no room in this spot. This collided with the neck. It collided pretty badly, and it meant I had to relocate. The other change that I made to my lights, and this also came out of some testing, is do not use the vertical header pins. Use the 90-degree header pins so that these connections can lay flat. Again, clearance is so tight. At one point, I was doing some playing around, and at the right angle, at the right height, I completely bent the pins in the connector that was attached to this light here. The servos in the Pro Head Mech, they are no joke. They will tear apart anything that gets in their way. So keep that in mind when you're assembling this. Clearance needs to be taken into account. Now, I should have known that, because in one of Dave's videos, he specifically talks about the tight clearance. In fact, I could probably even grind these little corners away a little bit. As it is, I'm not going to reinstall this piece, because even just that tiny little, 3/16 or 1/8 of an inch can make a difference. So just to give you an idea of just how tight those clearances are, let me take the face ring off. I'll disconnect the lights, and we can take a closer look at this actually on B and see just how close the neck gets to all of this structure. Okay, so I've got the face taken off, and you can see with the head just going up and down how close it comes to that neck piece. Now, Dave did mention in his video that maybe you could shorten that neck a little bit, and I have found that when I'm playing around with the mixes, I actually want to limit how high up the head lift goes. The tilt effect is better when there's a little bit of still vertical headroom, so to speak, left, so that you can do the side-to-side tilt. But when the head lift is at about 75%, you see you definitely still get a little collision there. So I still may need to grind away a portion of that. If anything, just leave it at like an angle so it will gently scrape by the neck. But at least for now, you really don't have any clearance there, even for that red piece that was intended to be there. That simply collides and prevents the head from being able to lift and go all the way. So with those collision issues worked out, though, let's see what the results are once everything is put back together. So the last thing I'll mention is the globes for this. I think I might need to revisit this at some point, because I used a globe from a fake security camera, and I just cut it. The diameter of the globe wasn't much bigger than what I actually needed here, so it does stick out a good bit. And in fact, this probably comes dangerously close to the inside wall of the upper body. So I'm not going to make a vacuum form table, for one thing, but if anyone out there has another source for a dome that isn't quite as rounded as this, let me know, and I'll pick it up and replace it. Let's go ahead and get this on. So the lighting effect, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I ended up really not painting my 2-color prints. I just left the white filament because most of the time his eye is going to be on anyway. And for now, the sketch that I have in there is very simple. I just have that little sweep that happens every 20 seconds or so, and I don't really have any color changing considerations for it at this point. I think one of the things I might add later on would be some way to send commands to the Arduino up in the head, so I can maybe trigger this light to come on only in certain circumstances. It would be off otherwise. Maybe be able to change the colors, do something like that. But that's a future consideration. So with this on now, we can see what the full capabilities of the Pro Head Mech are. I've got an independent lift for that one. He's got his tilt forward and back. He's got the spin. I really love how this works. This is so silky smooth and nice and quiet, and it's, I think, a really good speed. So I think in the official bill of materials, it calls for a 50-to-1 gear ratio motor. In Dave's videos, and I think what Stephen Sloan did, they used the 19-to-1 ratio, which gives you this nice fast motion, and that's what I've added here, and I really do like that. But I love how this looks and feels. You got the tilt, and again, this is one where you see the tilt when he's at his maximum lift, which is where he is. The tilt is more a nod down. If I lower it just a little bit, then the tilt becomes more of a actual side to side. And here's where I need to, we're getting some collisions going on there. In fact, you can see if we tilt far enough, it'll actually detach the head even. We don't want to do that, do we? No. Oh, I can't do that fast enough. No. And with that, I think really for the most part we can put a pin in B2 and say that he's about as done as droids generally get. It's not to say there won't be some tweaks and updates made at some point, but I really need to give a huge shout out and thanks to Michael Baddeley, Alec Muir, all the people that were involved in the design of B, Dave Ferreira and Stephen Sloan with the Pro Head Mech. This has really been an amazing build. We are going to be off to DroidCon 25 next week. It will just be B and I. Unfortunately, R2 is not going to be making the trek with us. It's kind of tough to wrangle 2 droids by yourself anyway. Last year I had a little bit of help, thank you Ben, but this year I think Ben is bringing his own droid, so R2 is going to be staying here, so it's just going to be B and I. But we are looking forward to meeting a bunch of you builders at this event, so any of you guys that are going to DroidCon, please look me up, find me, say hi, introduce yourself. I'm terrible with names though, so you know, between Facebook handles, YouTube handles, astromech handles, and real names, I never quite know what to call people. But yeah, let me we'll chat, we'll talk shop. Another thing that I'd like to do is sometime after DroidCon, I'd love to sort of do a retrospective on this build. So if there are any questions about the build or the process that you'd like answered, leave a comment down below and I will try and address them in the next video. I will be talking budget. This is one of the things that I never really kept track of things for R2. I did keep pretty good track of things, at least for the first 80-90% of B's build, and then the Pro Head Mech added on to that. But I will be kind of discussing a little bit about budget and my experiences with that. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, I have all of this room in the workshop now, so I guess that begs the question, what droid am I going to fill the space with next? And well, I guess we'll find that out soon enough. Anyway, I really thank all of you guys for watching this series. This has been a really fun build. I'll be posting updates as they come around, but overall, I'd say we can put this one in the books, and we're gonna have to get him out and meeting some people soon. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.